Sup everyone, Raiden's Blade 1 here, and today I was just doing a bit of research on the PS4 Neo and the Xbox Scorpio, and from what I've read so far, the ever since the E3, there's been some speculation going around and stuff like that, so keep in mind that this is just this is just speculation of both consoles. Nothing's really quite confirmed in all, in my opinion, anyway. So this is just my quick comparison as of right now from what is out there on the two consoles. So what I was reading on this article here, the PS4 Neo has seems to have a significant enough CPU upgrade of I believe, where is it? Here it is, from running at 2.1 gigahertz instead of 1.6 from what the regular PS4 was running at, which is a pretty significant leap in my opinion, or significant enough. Still has 8 cores though. Now, as for Microsoft's Scorpio, speculation assumes that it will be using 8 cores as well, but upclocked from Jaguar, or at least will match Jaguar. I was just looking at both these two. Here's another quick comparison here, as you can see. This is from speculation of the Scorpio anyway. Upclocked Jaguar or equivalent. You got 36 improved GCNs or computer units in the GPU. Running at 911 megahertz, which is, I believe, double, or pretty much double what the PS4 has. And then you have Project Scorpio running a significant 56 to 60 computer units, but they're not as fast. They're only at 800 to 850 megahertz. So while the PS4K Neo is going to be running faster, they're not going to be as many units as the Scorpio. RAM is still the same in the Neo as it was in the PS4, DDR5, but it runs at 218 gigabytes a second, as you can clearly see. And now the RAM in the Scorpio, interestingly, has a good boost of 320 gigabytes a second with 12 gigs of RAM, DDR5 as well, which is definitely an upscale from the DDR3 they had in their last console here, maxed at 218, 8 gigs of RAM as well. That being said, it's a little weird what Phil Spencer was saying. You can't get 4K out of your Project Scorpio without a 4K TV. I'm not sure why he thinks that. Maybe he's talking about getting 60 frames per second of 4K out of, without a 4K TV. And I can kind of see that being the case, even though you don't need a 4K TV to get 4K. In order to get a true 4K experience, you would need a 4K TV. I assume that's what he was talking about. As for so comparing spec-wise between the Xbox One Scorpio and the PS4 Neo, the Scorpio seems to have a pretty substantial increase of specs anyway. Obviously it seems to be a more powerful console. Now, I assume this is definitely... I can see why Sony probably left out their... as I said in my previous video, I can see why, Sony left out the specs of their last console out of E3. Didn't want to reveal anything prior to respond to the Scorpio, see what they were up against. According to the Neo, seems to be able to run their new AMD's technology that they're going to be putting in this thing. I mean, it makes sense that they put AMD in there because, AMD is definitely a lot less powerful than Intel, or pardon me, a lot less expensive than Intel. And of course they got to take, cost-cutting measures in order to get the console down at a decent price. They seem to be, at least from what this article was telling me, they seem to be just as a quote-unquote spitting distance of the new GTX 1070s that came out. And you can definitely get 1080p at 60 frames per second natively, actually, with the PS4 Neo. But it won't be able to. But they're saying that it won't be able to quite get a 4K experience, or is out of quote unquote out of reach for it. So, if that's the case, then I don't know why they're calling it the PS4K anyway. If you can't get 4K out of it, I mean, why call it that? But that being said, that's probably maybe that's without a 4K TV, or maybe that's 60 frames per sec, or maybe not get true 4K experience out of it with the PS4 Neo. This quick comparison here. I mean, this is all speculation, granted. So, of course, if I could be wrong on things, let me know in the description below. If you got any more current news. This is just what I'm seeing so far from what I'm reading. So, props to you, Microsoft, for getting a more powerful system out there. Though, I assume the Sony's going to be responding to it with a more powerful system. As for what exactly it's going to have, that's yet to be seen. It says here that, they're saying that this PS4K / Neo is going to be more of a 1080p at 60 frames per second experience. Okay. And then they're saying that the Scorpio runs games at 4K, but would have a less of a 1080p experience. I'm not sure why they're saying that. Maybe considering it's going to have not faster GPU. Maybe it's because of the GPUs are not as fast, but it's going to have more computer units inside it. So I'm not sure why they're exactly saying that. And so the specs anyway. Obviously the Scorpio seems more powerful right now from what I'm seeing. And obviously it's going to be coming at a later date, from what I hear, in 2017, or earlier in 2017, and then you got the PS4 Neo, Sony wanting to release it here in later 2016. So, most likely these specs are probably going to be changing later on in the PS4K Neo. And I can see them probably definitely going to be doing that. And getting VR out of these kind of specs is... I'm not sure if, with the new AMD video cards that are coming out, supposedly to offer the same experience as a 1080, if not even a bit more, well, that obviously explains how they're going to handle VR. But, not running at less, not putting more RAM in it is kind of gives the developers a little less to work with, in my opinion, because with that RAM eating up a lot of not only the operating system but the game itself, I think that might be too much of a. I think, Sony, that you're limiting your console a little too much here. You should probably do what Scorpio's doing, put more RAM in order to give the developers more to work with here. 6 teraflops in the PS4, or pardon me, the Scorpio. Okay. And then you got 4.2 teraflops in the suspecting the PS4K. Yeah, but as I said, I'll let you guys read this over, and you can think of whatever accordingly for yourself. This is just what I've been reading so far. If this is true, that and if Sony doesn't change this specs, then obviously people are going to be people who want a more 4K experience and want a more bigger leap than over last gen, especially. They'd be shooting themselves in the head if they don't upgrade, especially the GPU here, running at 36, or having only 36, GCNs, or computer units anyway. Although I do like the speed they go at, 911 megahertz. I just don't know why they didn't put more RAM in it with Sony. Well, I don't know why Sony didn't improve the RAM, or rather increase the RAM into up to 12 gigabytes. I figured that would have been at least what they should have done, considering they're wanting to throw VR in there. 8 cores, aside from just a more better clock rate, they're not even going to be putting more cores. Though, in my opinion, it's more just the memory and the GPUs you got to improve a bit more on rather than the CPU. But, or then again. And then yeah. But, this is just a quick comparison, from what I'm seeing of it so far. So spec-wise, Xbox, you've got the more better specs as of right now. So Sony, it's up to you whether you are you going to keep it at what you got right now, or are you going to improve on the specs of it? Because right now, yeah, Microsoft's beating you in terms of specs. And to not get a full experience, if this is true that we won't be able to get a full experience of 4K out of a PS, with these kinds of specs, then I don't see why you're calling it, unless the name is going to be PS4 Neo when it exactly comes out instead of PS4K. I wouldn't go on calling it PS4K if you can't really get 4K out of it. The Scorpio running games at 4K. I'm just not sure why they say I mean, it'd be nice, 1080p at 60 frames per second definitely is good, but I'm not sure why they would think that Scorpio can't get more, can't get a decent more 1080p experience rather than the Neo with these kinds of specs anyway. It's maybe you guys can tell me exactly why that might be the case. But this, these specs are very interesting so far. So, anyway, that's, I guess, all I have to say on it so far. Let me know what you guys think. Tell me if I missed anything here, or if I'm possibly wrong. This is of course all, like I said, it's all speculation. This is just rumors from what I'm hearing so far. If you guys got any more current updates on this or news, let me know, and I'll, let me know in the let me know in the comments below here. So, that's all I'm going to say on that. You guys have a good one, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.